Today, my friends, I have for you a Yeti guide for Town Hall 12. We are going to be going over Yetis in terms of Yeti Smash, but we're going to teach you guys how to use Yeti's base identification and all of that in order to determine the right base design for Yetis. So that's right, guys, we are going to be looking at Yetis here at Town Hall 12 yet again. So I really want to quickly go over a couple things with base identification. So we are going to be playing a couple replays within the background for you guys to sort of understand the strategy as a whole. Now remember that these are being used against the semi-offset town halls. So typically, I would say this is going to work for more compartmentalized bases. So bases where there's a lot more compartments like this. But another thing is, for ring bases, if you are planning on using this, then it really has to be determined on, are there compartments or are they just rings? If they are, I would highly recommend that you guys don't use this. There are easier strategies like dragons that are a lot easier to use, especially drag clone. So with that being said, this definitely works on those anti-3-star-esque bases, and you will see those, sometimes very poorly made, but you will see them somewhat. So this is going to be the biggest thing in terms of base identification. The easiest, and I would say the most reliable way to breaking into any base with Yetis is actually going to be jump and quad quake. I've been seeing it a lot very recently, and it is actually such a great way to break your Yetis into the base. Jump allows you to get a lot of early value, or you can even use a quad quake if you feel that you can get a lot more value when you use those 4 quake spells. Remember that 4 earthquake spells will be able to open any level of wall. But another big thing is the radius, so make sure that you have it maxed. It's definitely very useful. Another thing with a Yeti Bomb is you're going to be typically starting with a Warden Walk. A Warden Walk is typically just using the Warden to establish a funnel. Due to his large radius, it can really be useful on a lot of different bases, or even going into a multi-inferno. Now the big thing when you're dealing with a base in terms of Yetis is you just want to make sure that the Yetis aren't going through walls. You want to make sure that they are just smoothly getting through the base, but the biggest thing is the funnel. Once you set that funnel, so once you cut off one side and the other side, you're easily allowing your Yetis to move into the base. That's what you want to do. You want to make sure that your Yetis are not bashing through walls, because if they are, then they're most likely getting hit by defenses like the Mega Tesla, Multi-Inferno, or Single Inferno, cannons, and stuff like that. Even though it's really good because you can have those Yeti mites, they only have a limited number. So really keep that in mind. Make sure that they're also in combination, also doing damage to those defenses as well, because they're going to help sort of lower that down and lower the need of those Yeti mites as a whole. So that kind of gives you guys a really good summary as I was playing this example, and you can see that this is still a very good way of doing this strategy. So all you're doing is just creating a funnel, and then it's very similar to like a P.E.K.K.A. smash, or really any type of smash attack. And if you've seen at Town Hall 11 or even at Town Hall 12, any type of smash attack is very similar. So that's all you're doing in this. You are just making sure that you can use everything. Use the Yetis and the P.E.K.K.As. Now, this was a version using the Yetis and the P.E.K.K.As. Usually, I would use this when you're dealing with bases that are a little bit more compact. So, base designs like this to where you've got areas kind of like, let's say, over here in this compartment where they did have to bust down through a couple walls. So, they can definitely be very useful when you have the P.E.K.K.As actually going in with your Yetis, as they are going to provide the DPS, while bowlers on the other hand would help you with skip value. So that is only if that there was skip value. Here is a little bit less open, so it definitely allowed the P.E.K.K.As to break down walls if there was a need for it and stuff like that. So that kind of gives you guys a short summary into this. I know that this one wasn't too long, but we have a lot more replays to go through in order to teach you guys this strategy of Yetis. So we've got our second example. We've got more of the Yeti Smash, and this time we're bringing in bowlers and a double jump. So what we're going to be teaching you guys here in terms of it is, what about if the town hall is a little bit closer to the outside in terms of an area where you want to funnel? Well, this is where you can actually warden walk a specific defense. Most of the time, though, you want to be able to use a baby dragon in order to funnel your Grand Warden to actually target the right structure, and that is going to be the Town Hall in this case. Another thing is that you want to make sure that you are funneling this side. So typically you're going to bring in like an E-Drag or maybe even another baby dragon. Typically an E-Drag is better in my take. But the big picture here is getting rid of the Town Hall. You will, though, need to rage your Warden. So make sure that you are raging him up to deal with the Town Hall. After you set two sides of the funnel, now you can actually use double jumps. Now let's also talk about the double jump really quickly. Why is it being used, especially on this base here? The main thing is, if you take a look at the base, there's not that many compartments. It's not really that good to just jump into there. You could jump in Quad Quake, but it's better when you don't have to waste 6 spell slots worth of, breaking yourself into the base than just using 2 jump spells. That really saves you a lot, especially if one jump in the over the CC can get you into 3 of the 4 compartments, which is pretty insane. So you just got to think about that. Again, this base is a little bit more open, so that's the reason why we're seeing some bowlers in this case. So that is really just going to determine on how the base is designed and stuff. You can also use the siege barrack to create a funnel as well, but typically here you're going to try and make sure that you have that P.E.K.K.A moving in. Another thing that I forgot to mention at the beginning was the warden ability. You want to make sure that you're popping the warden ability really close to the core of the base. This way, as you're driving into the base, you're easily going to be able to work your way through it. And then you're going to use your rage spells here and there. The only limit, though, to this strategy is, remember that double jump really isn't, in my personal opinion, isn't really the best way of actually using this. I've actively seen where Quad Quake and jump get a lot more value. Of course, very dependent on the base, but I mean, realistically, it's just going to be determining on how the base is developed and stuff like that. Now, another thing that you may notice is the Hog Riders. So you are bringing in Hog Riders in the CC. From that Siege Barrack, what you're going to be doing is you're typically going to be trying to heal them up, because you get more value if you heal them up there. But as far as I've seen with Bowitch at Town Hall 11, it's a lot better if you heal up your main army than actually healing up the Hog Riders. I think the Hog Riders can just be an extra, but I think in terms of Yetis, it'd be better because you're going to be able to preserve some of their health, including the bowlers as well. So you can actually get more value if you use a heal with the bowlers and Yetis than you do with the Hog Riders. So just keep that in mind, but it's another really nice way of sort of identifying the right base for it. But another really unique example, and this time showing you guys a little bit more in terms of base identification. We've still got more though, so let's go ahead and take a look at more of the Yetis. So in this example, I want you guys to sort of understand why the attack sort of starts to thin out a little bit. So there's a lot to understand here. When you're bringing in P.E.K.K.As, it's usually going to be your best bet that you're going to be dominating through the base, especially with Jump and Quad Quake. But with bowlers, keep in mind that your attack could thin out. So just be very prepared about that. So you just got to make sure that you're creating a solid funnel, like with any sort of Yeti Smash attack. And then you just want to continue to make sure that you are establishing that funnel, and really just sending your Yetis in. Now on this base here, you can see it's a little bit more of a compact base. However, again, using the jump is going to be another way that you guys can do it on this particular base. But, of course, I would definitely prefer using a jump and then Quad Quake, but of course, it's going to be very dependent in terms of the base. On this base here, there might have been less value than using a Quad Quake, but still, it's completely fine. And you'll see that we're using some archers here in order to establish a funnel. Something a little bit different than, using a baby dragon or something. So the whole idea there was basically because a lot of those defenses were not in this section here. So that meant that we were going to easily be able to use some archers there to create a funnel. Very low cost and easy to do. Very simple. But you'll also see from here is that now we've got a funnel established here thanks to the king, and we're going to continue that thanks to the siege barrack. So as everything is now moving into the base, we're moving our way in here. We're going to pop our warden ability, especially through the core, and you may notice that everything's going to start working their way down towards 6 o'clock, meaning that they are going to skip the town hall. However, the queen is going to move her way over here as everything starts to move down. That is going to allow us to secure the 2-star, which is definitely very important. And what we're going to basically do after this is just continue to rage up our Yetis and make sure that they are getting through the base. And the best thing about going in from the side in terms of this strategy is we're not going into the town hall, and instead we're going to the side, which means we don't really take any of that damage. And even if they were to, or even if they were to take that out, they were going to move out of there just as quickly. So it's definitely very, very easy. But you'll see from here is that a large portion of our attack did thin out. We have really one Yeti, our queen's still alive, and that's about it. And probably, no, not even the warden. The warden didn't even survive either. But that is going to be the whole idea. You got to make sure, though, that you are keeping in mind, that you are going to lose a large portion of your army towards the end. So keep that in mind. Yetis are still very strong, not as strong as they were before, but still they are worth using here at Town Hall 12. But we've got even more examples here for you guys. So let's go ahead and move on into even more of these examples in order to teach you guys Yetis. So we've got another example here of Yetis at Town Hall 12, and we want to quickly go over with you guys funneling much more of the funneling, because that's very important. And on top of that, we're going to be going over double jump value, so what you're looking for in terms of those aspects. So with that being said, of course, you're going to be doing this with a warden walk for the most part. It's the best way to create a funnel, and you've seen it throughout this entire video, is that all we've been doing is just, making sure that we funnel this entire section over here with a warden walk. The big picture is that I want you guys to sort of understand the warden walk a little bit more. That warden walk, you don't really need to do it for so long, but you just need to make sure that he's getting a solid funnel down for the rest of your entire attack. That is going to be the whole idea and just what you need to sort of think about. And then on the other side, you could probably use like the king or maybe even a Yeti over there, and that could go in that direction in order to make sure that you've got a solid funnel going into the base and everything and all that. So that kind of gives you guys a really good idea of what you're doing in terms of a funnel. But in terms of double jump, this is where base identification really comes into play. Do you want to attack in going in like this on this section? Yeah, there are some pretty good compartments, like maybe even like right here. But other than that, it really wouldn't be super good because you're not narrowing it down. If you're narrowing it down, then it's most likely going to be something like maybe like this when you're going in. So then you would probably place a jump here. You're able to almost have access to absolutely everything. And that's just in this dead zone channel. And then you would do another jump over the sweeper, queen, that sort of wall in between them. And that gives you access to the rest of the base. So it's kind of what you've got to think about. It's in terms of the compartment sizes, and that's what's going to help you guys sort of understand when to use this strategy. It works really well when you have straightforward pathing through the base. That's the whole thing. Now again, remember you could also do a bowler bounce. It is actually one of the best ways to create a funnel. And of course you want to make sure that you are funneling one side of the base for your warden, just so that then he's not going to move down and he's going to move away from your entire army. Instead, he's going to basically walk in the direction of where you want to start your Yetis at. But on top of it, you're also trying to make sure that you are getting the most from the funnel, whether this be using a bowler bounce or a baby dragon or something like that. So you see with what the warden walk is doing is it's carving out that area, which means he's doing a really good job on making sure that none of the Yetis move into this direction, and instead they move straight in to the jump. So we're just mainly taking your time is the biggest thing, especially when there's nothing like expos or anything like that that can really cause a problem. Now here's where you would be using the siege barrack to create a funnel. Instead of sending it in with the rest of the attack, it's better if you create a funnel with it. That way you're able to cut that section off. So as you're sending the king and or everything else there, you can actually start sending everything in here. Now because we were charging into the town hall, it was a better idea to pop the warren ability. This is going to really be base dependent. On the other ones, you saw that we weren't really going into the town hall, but if you are, I would suggest that you pop your warren ability over all the troops, especially when you're jumping over the town hall. So that is a big thing that you guys need to really take a look at. But again, as you can see from here, we're getting straightforward pathing, and we're making sure that we're using those jumps very wisely. If we used them over the sort of dead zone compartment and over the queen compartment, it definitely would have been a lot better, but still getting us value is what the main priority of the funnel is supposed to do. And then of course you have the hog riders from the siege barrack, and that's going to help a lot in terms of clearing up those other defenses. But other than that, you guys can still get a lot of value from just doing, making sure that you get your funnel correct and then your jump. And then that is really all that you really need to do. And it's a very simple attack. All I can say is with that, it's a very simple attack. It really doesn't take too much of your time in order to use and learn. Yetis are very, very easy. You just need to make sure that you are getting easy pathing on them. So, now we're going to have one more example to hopefully teach you guys this strategy a little bit better. And we're just going to be going over a couple things as well with the Yetis. But let's go ahead and move on into our last example using Yetis. So this is basically going to be the recap to all the replays. This has actually been the most that I have ever done in a video, 5. So this is definitely a very good one to hopefully learn from. There's a lot of really good examples, a lot of really good tips I can give from each of these. So I hope that each of these do help you guys in terms of finding the right base. And for those of you who aren't Town Hall 12s, definitely this will help you guys when you get up to Town Hall 12. Now, with that being said, we just want to quickly go over and recap a couple of the things. You're going to be using a Warden Walk for the most part, so I would suggest that you upgrade your Warden at least to level 35 plus. Usually level 40 is going to be more preferred, but I would say maybe 35 is where you can do it. Other than that, you are using a Warden Walk to create the funnel for the most part. You're never going to be just using the King or Baby Dragon or a Queen Walk. You're going to be using the Warden Walk. The idea, though, is you want to create funneling for your entire attack. On top of this, you have the idea of using either double jump or quad quake and jump. So what this means is you're either going to be choosing, using a jump or using one jump to start off getting into the base and then quad quaking the rest. Or if you think that you can get more value from using a double jump, then definitely that's another really unique option. You have a couple different options there in terms of creating a funnel. But other than that, you really, getting into the base, I mean. But when you're creating a funnel, you're mostly using the Warden Walk on one side of the base. That way you can sort of clear out a section and you don't really need to worry about it. And then if you need to use the Siege Barrack for a funnel, then you can definitely do so. Now, in this example here, I want you guys to sort of understand that on this one, we're allowing our Yetis to go down here because the jump value is right here. But we're using the King and the Siege Barrack on this side to move down and create that side of the funnel. That way we can use either like maybe a wizard or something, and we're going to just clear up these buildings here in order for everything to start moving into the base instead of moving on the outside. So that's the whole idea and what we're trying to do here. So as everything pushes through, we want to make sure that we're popping the Warren ability around the core. Or as we get into the core, that's when we should be using the Warren ability. And then of course the rage spells here and there as well. Now remember that you want to either, if you're bringing a heal, then you could use it on your hogs, or you can use it on your bowlers and Yetis, but you can actually get a lot of value if you do that. So I would highly suggest doing that, especially if you're going into the Town Hall compartment like you see right here. Most of it is probably going to be moving straight through, but if they were moving outside of it, then it would have been a lot better if the heal was either saved, or if the Yetis just moved away from the town hall. So of course that didn't happen in this example, but still kind of giving you guys a solid example when you're taking a look at different strategies. So in this example here, it was definitely a very good example in terms of, you know, using that double jump and just being very patient with your attack, and using the wizards, of course, to really help create that funnel. But with that being said, guys, that's going to do it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, remember to leave a like on the video. It really does mean a lot. And then also feel free to go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you guys don't miss anything here on the channel, and to join the Corrupt fam. Also, feel free to go ahead and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and also on Twitch. If you guys want to support me further, feel free to go ahead and subscribe to me on Twitch, join the channel as a member, or even purchase any merch from Playmakers Wanted from my merch store there. Also, feel free to go ahead and join any of the clans I'm covering within the game. Then feel free to go ahead and check those down in the description below. But with that being said, guys, that is going to do it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed and learned something, and I'll be seeing you guys next time. Corrupt, signing out.